in the news today is, I want to quote from it, is the fact that there's blowback against Gayle and others at CBS for that absurdity. Hold on a second. Was that in the AM update, you guys? Like our real AM update? Oh, wait, this is I've got the wrong paper in front of me. Sorry, I have so many papers when I come to air that I sometimes screw it up. I'm going to find it. Oh, that's so many papers and so little time. Here, I think I found it. Okay. Yeah. Via the Daily Mail. Okay. First of all, CBS News is imploding.
Yes,
They fired Wendy McMahon, the president, the executive producer of CBS, of 60 Minutes, quit. Now there are rumors that both Gayle and Scott Pelley could be on the way out. There was a report the other day that Gayle was told they are not paying her $10 million salary anymore. She has no viewers. It's not worth it. And, she's not going to work for free, Maureen, like for $7 million. These are the reports. But now there's this via the Daily Mail. Inside the vicious CBS News bloodbath where staff are fighting, crying, and resent Gayle King. Tensions are running particularly high about reports that CBS's parent company, Paramount, is preparing to slash $500 million in costs in preparation for the lucrative merger with Skydance Media, against the backdrop of a ratings freefall. And there might be more exits to come. Multiple sources told the Daily Mail that 60 Minutes host Scott Pelley could be on the way out. It's marquee name after marquee name. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. There are no marquee names there. People don't want to say it out loud in the office, but the entire space debacle really hurt us. Oh, did it? Said a 60 Minutes staffer. Gayle being part of that, not a good look for our brand. You know what? You should have listened to us because we could have told you that immediately. I think a lot of people resent Gayle for it. I know I do. But that's them, not me. But the most palpable impact appears to have been felt at 60 Minutes, where staff have compared the atmosphere to a sinking ship. The tension spilling out into the open with blazing rows in the office over story coverage and petty squabbles concerning seating plans. Sources told the Daily Mail, fights and loud ones, said the insider. You can hear them in the halls. People are arguing over everything and anything, from big things like how to report stories to small things like who is sitting where in the conference room. So it's not going well.
It's not going well. I have 2 Scott Pelley observations, and then I'd like to say something about Gayle. Scott Pelley once assailed a Page 6 reporter who dared to talk to him. This is back when I was at the Post, on the red carpet. He was on a red carpet. He was doing interviews. I believe he had just been canned as anchor, nightly news anchor.
Yep.
And they had the temerity to ask him about that. And he fairly spat at them like, you wouldn't last 2 minutes inside the halls of CBS News. And I'm like, Scott Pelley wouldn't last 2 minutes inside the New York Post newsroom.
Oh, hell no.
I promise you, okay? And then my other thing about Scott Pelley is, he's on 60 Minutes now, and he's always talking like with lockjaw.
Yes,
and then
he does have a lockjaw.
He does this, and then he takes his glasses, and he'll put them on like this, and then after he asks the question, he takes them off. And he writes it like this. It's like William Hurt in Broadcast News. Thank you. It's very cathartic to get that out. Very cathartic. And then, so Gayle, I feel like Gayle is to CBS News what Don Lemon was to CNN. And I knew Don Lemon was over before he began tanking. Do you remember that image of him on a red carpet during Fashion Week? It was right around COVID.
I'm sure I blocked it out.
He's on a red carpet. There are photographers like in a semicircle. He's standing there in like a $5,000 suit with like a $10,000 coat caped over him. And he's showing his hands like this and all the rings on his fingers.
Ew.
And I was like, this guy thinks he's a major star and CNN is the backdrop rather than you're the journalist and that is your outlet. And Gayle's right now in the same level of delusion. She's the star and CBS is just lucky to have her. My opinion.
Can I tell you something else that happened at the Time 100? This is an amazing moment. So, you have to wait in the line to get your red carpet shot. And I was going to get that red carpet shot because that was the reason to be there. Like I just felt like it was an F you bitches moment to like my old pals at NBC. It was just kind of nice from that standpoint. So I was waiting and we were right behind, I forget, I know nothing about the music industry, which I'm learning as I try to talk about the Diddy trial, but I know very little. But a big star, a big music star and his wife. And we'd all been waiting our turn. But this guy, forgive me for not knowing his name, but he was like the marquee talent for the night and everybody knew who he was, but not me. No, it wasn't Miles Smith. It was another guy. Keep going. No, it wasn't Ed Sheeran. No, it wasn't Ed Sheeran. It was a different guy. Anyway, whatever. Okay. They stopped. So we're all filing in from the left of the red carpet and waiting in line. I was behind Priyanka Chopra.
Okay.
Right. So she's pretty well known. Everyone's waiting. As we inch up and it's almost like our time to go out there, they stop our procession from the left side because clearly some big star is coming over from the right. I'm like, what is it? Tom Cruise? Who is it? Is it going to be like somebody we'd all be like, oh, of course. Yeah. Okay, fine. You know, security demands that they get in and get out. It was fucking David Muir.
Get the fuck out. Oh, David Muir, who, by the way, you know, like Mariah Carey is only ever shot from one side. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
He's only
and he's that way.
Oh, he's that way. No, he sits at the anchor desk like this. And he never moves. He's like a statue. And then what's great is when he has to parachute into a war zone or a natural disaster, you better fucking get him from this side only. Doesn't matter how many dead bodies are in the background.
No.
This side.
And bring my waist cinchers.
Oh, right.
Don't forget my waist cinchers.
Don't forget that.
I couldn't believe I'm like, David Muir, you've got to be kidding me.
That is such an insult to you, Megyn.
And it's such an insult to me. It was. But it was an absurdity by him. I mean, honestly, like, he should have been embarrassed. Everybody was expecting some truly A-list talent to come in there. And we were all like, David Muir? Everybody in line was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Just the fact that he would do it is kind of humiliating. But he did it. Okay, so that was that. Okay. Oh, Scott Pelley. We can't leave this subject without showing you Scott Pelley at Wake Forest. I don't know why Wake Forest would invite Scott Pelley and sick him on their graduates with, as you accurately point out, I've never heard it said right like you did, lockjaw. He does have the lockjaw. That's not happening. With the glasses. So here he goes to speak to these poor graduates who are his captive audience. And keep in mind when you hear this clip of the free speech crackdowns that we suffered during COVID under Joe Biden, right? When he took over and how we got censored if we said, try ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine.
Right.
Or if you said COVID started in a lab and it wasn't natural origin. If you said it's causing serious side effects like myocarditis. All of the crackdowns, right, that we've had on free speech. The disinformation dozen, where they actively worked with social media to censor regular Americans, where he sicked the FBI on parents at school board meetings if they were saying the wrong things. And now is the time Scott Pelley would like to throw a word out there for free speech and listen to him do it.
But in this moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak. In America. The Wake Forest class of 1861, they did not choose their time of calling. The class of 1941 did not choose. The class of 1968 did not choose. History chose them. And now history is calling you. The class of 2025.
So that's the Civil War, World War II, and the Civil Rights Movement. That's the same moment we're in now, as free speech is under attack, and universities are under attack, and somebody's private thoughts are filled with fear. I believe he speaks of himself, and that's his inspirational message to the class of 2025 at Wake Forest University.
He seems like a fun time.
Doesn't he? Good job.
Like that's exactly what I want to hear as I'm going out into the world and about to embark on my life. And it should be the most optimistic, hopeful time. And those are like, I'll say this, like my commencement speaker, you may be surprised, was Cornel West. And I freaking loved his speech.
I bet he was good.
He was so great and it was so joyful. And he was like, you're going out into the world and it's like all yours. And like, it was just amazing. You know, it was so inspirational and he really captivated everybody. And this is like, Okay, there's no free speech. You're talking to kids who are running college campuses as they see fit. You want a tentifada? Have it.
Yeah.
Like, what is he talking about?
Yeah. Well, and it's just so ironic. It's like universities are under attack as the federal government tries to enforce Title VI, which doesn't allow open displays of anti-Semitism on campus. It's literally the law that they must step in if a college allows Jews, for example, to be openly harassed, like Columbia has, like Harvard has. It's just that nobody else would enforce these laws prior to Trump.
Right.
And now he's upset because he doesn't like that. But by the way, where was he when the federal government was interfering, like I say, with parents trying to protect their children, when the federal government was interfering with police departments across this country who had done nothing wrong, but were getting harassed by President Obama and then President Biden setting up fake consent decrees to try to make them answer to Joe Biden in their law enforcement or Barack Obama in their law enforcement, which thank God Harmeet Dillon, now deputy at the DOJ, has just undone. He didn't care. He wanted them scrutinized. He wanted government interference then when it ran right in line with his own ideology.
For that matter, where was Scott Pelley and his ilk as all of this stuff we're learning about now, when the press was either complicit in or very happy to be told everything's fine here vis-a-vis Joe Biden.
Right.
Nothing to see here. Now we're learning in that Jake Tapper book, Hunter Biden was one of the people making crucial decisions.
Right.
Like, that was a punchline. Oh, who do you think it is behind the scenes? Like Hunter, that degenerate? Yeah, it was. It was Hunter and Jill.
And Jill, who's really emerging as one of the worst, most terrible first ladies in U.S. history.
100%.
It was interesting, I have to say, to see Sally Quinn of the Washington Post and was married to Ben Bradley, the famous editor of the Washington Post for many years, and who he was much older than she was. That's why she's still around, and got dementia. So she does know a thing or two about being married to an elderly, somewhat infirm man. At least he was in his later years. He was, a giant of the press when he was younger. And she went on this podcast with Tara Palmieri and listened to what she said in SOT 8.
Well, honestly, I blame Jill Biden for this. Jill Biden is his wife. And if Jill Biden had stood up and had gone to him and said, Joe, you can't do it. And if you do, you're on your own. I'm out. He wouldn't have run because he couldn't have done it without her support. And, she clearly was in favor of his running. And I just think it was a terrible disservice to the country. I felt sorry for Joe Biden because I didn't think she was protecting him. She wasn't protecting him from himself. And after that hideous debate, right after the debate, they're in the spin room and she got his hand up and they're victory, we won, it was great. And the next day he's off in North Carolina and making a victory speech. I thought, what were they watching? I thought it was just elder abuse, really, what they were putting him through.
Yeah.
I think everybody was horrified that he was put in a position where he was allowed to run by his staff and by his wife. And people felt sorry
get the basic
for him,
gist.
but it was still his.
So even the left is starting to come to terms with the fact that this looked very much like elder abuse by Jill Biden. This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset. As BRICS nations push forward with their plans, some worry global demand for U.S. dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition, if it happens, would not happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.